I took her back to my friends and decided to address the situation publicly to them in order to get their opinions so once and for all, Gigi understood how embarrassing her behavior was. I asked them if anybody felt it appropriate that little sister had come uninvited to our reunion. To my relief, some of my friends echoed my sentiments and told Gigi that they did feel uncomfortable with her since they were not close to her. My school best friend, then trying to smooth the matter, told Gigi that they could hang out with her some other day, but for today, they would like it if it was just the old classmates hanging out. Gigi looked embarrassed hearing their reactions, and I couldn't help but feel satisfied watching her learn a valuable lesson about boundaries. She shot me an angry glance, clearly blaming me for this fiasco, and somberly walked out. That night, after I returned home from the after-party of my reunion, my parents confronted me about what happened and told me how I embarrassed Gigi in front of everyone by kicking her out. I explained to them how no one wanted her there and she had barged into our reunion uninvited, so she needed to apologize to me, but my parents started insisting that she is my sister and I need to be more understanding. My mother told me how Gigi always finds it difficult to make friends and no one wants to hang out with her, so she was excited to meet my friends knowing that they had always been sweet to her. I retorted back how I had been understanding about Gigi for years, but these people were only nice to her because I was their friend and they clearly didn't want to be around her otherwise. Gigi, who had perhaps been hearing our argument, barged into the room saying how everyone liked her and it was me who was trying to take her friends away from her. I started laughing hearing this and told her that if that was the case, then why didn't a single friend of mine hang out with her for all these years whenever she would message in our group chat or even call them? Gigi looked at me hurt and started justifying how everyone was just busy and it didn't mean anything, but I retorted back that everyone was just busy hanging out with her because they were not her friends. I know this might have been a mean thing to say, but I wanted Gigi to know the truth. My dad started saying how I was being selfish and I should apologize to Gigi for what I said, but I remained steadfast that it was Gigi who had crossed a boundary by barging into our reunion when no one wanted her there, and it was time she needed to face the consequences of her own actions. This was the last straw that broke my and Gigi's relationship completely. Since then, we never spoke to each other, nor did we even try to be nice to each other whenever we met over the holidays. Years later, when I was getting married, my parents forced me to invite her, saying how bad Gigi would feel about not getting invited and that they didn't want the rest of the family to know that there was any bad blood between us. I reluctantly invited her as a guest and my parents wanted me to make her my bridesmaid, but I put my foot down and threatened that I would uninvite her if they kept pushing me. Fortunately, I have a loving and supporting partner like my husband, Kyle, who understood the dynamics of the relationship between me and my sister and never questioned why I didn't want to involve her more in our wedding. Over the years, I have been polite to Gigi but never bonded with her beyond that. Now, coming on to the incident at hand, Gigi just married a week ago. Her husband, Rick, is 15 years older than her, whom she met while working at a restaurant. Gigi could never hold on to a job for very long and had always talked to my parents about getting married, so Rick was her knight in shining armor. She was ecstatic about finally settling down. When she sent out her marriage invitations, I found out from my cousins and parents. It was not surprising that I didn't receive any. I honestly didn't care since she and I didn't have a good relationship anyway. However, to my surprise, Gigi sent out a virtual invitation to all my friends on the very same Facebook group where I had added her years ago. I had kind of forgotten about the group since no one uses Facebook anymore and was kind of taken aback that she would invite my friends to her wedding when none of them even spoke to her. Some of these friends did reach out to me to ask if I would be attending as well, and I told them how Gigi never invited me, which shocked them that she would invite them. I told them that I didn't really mind if they chose to attend since I had no relationship with her whatsoever. I guess this news must have spread like wildfire among my friends because a bunch of them messaged me saying how rude it was for my sister to invite them, as they were almost strangers to her now, but not invite me when I used to take care of her and look out for her while we were growing up. I tried to make it clear that I was okay with her decision to not invite me, but because Gigi had publicly invited every one of my friends in the group and not me, it seemed to my friends like she had deliberately chosen to exclude me. I did have a talk with my parents regarding this and I reminded them how they had forced me to invite her to my wedding in the name of a family, but my mother started justifying how this was Gigi's decision on the guest list and they didn't have a say in this. Feeling betrayed, I told them how she had invited all my friends, which had led everyone to question why she would deliberately single me out, but my parents, as usual, stuck by her side and told me that those were her friends also and Gigi would love it if they attended her wedding. I saw that there was no point in talking to my family, so I didn't bring up this conversation again. Last week, on the day my sister got married, I spent the day with my husband and my son. Kyle knew that I was a bit upset, so he took us out to the beach and we had a good time. I switched off my phone since I like having tech-free days while spending time with my loved ones. When I returned home, I was flooded with multiple messages and voice calls from my sister and my parents. Confused and unable to comprehend what was happening, I opened the last message from Gigi, which had a picture attached. She had written how this was all my fault and that she would never forgive me for spoiling her day. The picture attached was of some of my friends and I gasped looking at the picture. My friends were wearing floor-length multicolored gowns which looked absolutely ridiculous. One of them was even wearing a fancy boa draped around her neck while another had on a summer hat. I could not understand why anybody would ever wear these types of dresses to attend a wedding. It definitely looked less like a wedding and more like a fancy dress competition, and I couldn't help but chuckle at how ridiculous they all looked. My sister then called me, clearly trying to reach me throughout the day, and when I picked up, she started screaming at how selfish I was for ruining her wedding. I tried to calm her down, saying that I had no idea why my friends would dress up like that, and she kept blaming me, saying that I was just jealous of her and knowingly had asked them to dress up like that, which had turned her wedding into a laughing show. I kind of felt bad for her, but I just couldn't understand why she would blame me even though I had nothing to do with this. My parents have also messaged me saying how disappointed they are with me, and I should have stopped my friends from dressing up like that, which is absolutely preposterous. I don't know if I should clarify the matter or let them keep blaming me. I have started to think my friends might have turned up like that since they all knew that my sister didn't invite me, and I kind of feel like this is a bit of my fault.